Welcome to Conversations We Needed with Our Parents Growing Up. Today is topic number 7, submitted by one of our viewers. It's Santa, Sex, and Secret Ledgers. And our viewer said, quite honestly, very little was talked about in my family. It always felt like there were so many secrets, things you didn't ever talk about, how much money there was, how much money your dad made, etc. Of course, sex and puberty and the feelings around those things were another secret, taboo, and somehow dirty. My mother handed me a booklet about my period, which I didn't understand and wouldn't have dared to ask about. The worst thing that could have happened was if you were pregnant at your high school graduation. Somehow I knew that, but wouldn't have dared to talk to my parents about it. My mother couldn't even explain Santa Claus. Again, handed me a book that I didn't understand.
Sure.
It's a lot.
Ooh, yeah. When I think about what is that listener, what were they hoping for? What were they longing for from their parent? Upon reflection, obviously, in some awareness as a child, but not as we are adults and can look back and realize what was missing. But to grow up in a home where the truth of an experience wasn't off limits, to feel safe about asking about anything, to have adults who modeled curiosity and asked questions and explored and experimented, and then to experience really the ability around emotions and information with transparency, that seeking information or talking about it wasn't dangerous.
Sure.
Yeah. And that these topics weren't ones to hide, because hiding, unfortunately, breeds shame. Yeah.
I'm sighing because of lived experience. That was hard.
Yeah.
You know, in my house, you'd either be made fun of, probably teased, and probably teased, and then you just didn't even bring it up when all those things were happening as I, was going into junior high.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Silence becomes our teacher too. Yeah. We don't want it to be, but it does.
Yeah, and I think it breeds shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something wrong with me, and then it's a lack of support because you can't figure it out. I mean, there's way more information and disinformation available to children today.
Yes.
It's so much there because of the internet that we didn't have, but, there were some really bad sources of information about sexuality back in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up, a little bit later for you. But I think that there's good and even worse on the internet today. So what do we do as parents? We either acknowledge that it's a difficult conversation. And one way to do that is to say, these are really hard things to talk about. And, my parents would not.
Yeah.
But I want to change that. And so let's sit down and visit.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about reasons our parents might have avoided it, I would guess there would be oftentimes their own discomfort from their own shame or their own upbringing.
Fear.
Yeah, fear.
One of the fears that came to mind was the fear of creating permissiveness.
Oh, sure.
Sure. And not necessarily from a religious or moral standpoint, but just from a bad effects, getting pregnant young can complicate life drastically.
Sure.
Set aside your moral approach to it, etc. And I think that we can have those fears. And I remember having some of those fears as a parent.
Yeah.
But I tried to be open about topics like this. But I just remember I had just a daughter, so it wasn't like she came directly to me with those sorts of things. But if they did come up, I did my best to engage as best I knew how.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I think that there's also some religious and cultural messaging that certain topics are off limits, whether that is they're private or sinful, that we shouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, that's a sin.
Yeah, all of our parents grew up in different families that had different rules. Lack of accurate information available. I think parents can often feel just unaware of what to say. And probably a lot of anxiety about not doing it right. Thinking that, if I say it wrong, I'm going to cause a problem. Or even good parents don't talk about these things. So I think...
I just had a memory. Can I share it?
Yeah.
I do remember when my daughter got really curious as she was heading into, middle school, upper middle school and junior high, asking my wife. And I wasn't there when this happened, but it was shared with me later. But my wife got explicit about where do babies come from. And so she told her about intercourse and what happens, all those things. And my daughter steps back and looks at her and said, "You're lying."
That's awesome.
It was awesome. And it's just the way that, I would want it to go. I mean, not that she would think we were lying, but just that the absolute,
that can't possibly
truth
be
about it, that can't possibly be where babies come from. Yes, it actually is. And, to give my wife credit, I would give her kudos for approaching it that way. And then dealing with the disbelief.
Yeah.
My daughter's always been a pistol, so
no, I think it's
she's
fantastic.
sweet, but
I love it.
Anyway,
thinking about like if our parents can't talk about it, then I shouldn't talk about it. And then I don't think we talk about the difference between privacy and secrecy. I just think about, like there are certain things, like we're not, going out and having conversations with, people walking through Target about our sexual experiences, right? So there is a certain sense of privacy, but I think they can get confused. That if they're, like let's say you were in the middle of, I don't know, I'll go with Target again. And then your child, for whatever reason, asks you then, right? And you're like, this isn't the place, but you don't explain to them that you're not having the conversation right there because it's bad or secret or wrong, but just because that's a conversation you might, as a parent, prefer to have in your home, undistracted, fully focused. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important, depending on the age of the child, it may be appropriate to, share not sordid details, but they may ask questions that are more specific and about, I don't know, just emotion and behavior around sex, right?
Sure.
And I think that there are teaching points in there about this difference between privacy and secrecy. And so the privacy piece is, if I'm sharing this with you, understand this is private information, not to be shared, with others. Well, you know what I'm saying? And there's a balance there. So help me out, because it's like, I have a specific instance in mind, but I don't think I'm going to share it here.
Okay. So. Okay. Well, I think explaining to children that even if you're having this conversation, it doesn't mean other people are.
Right.
It doesn't mean other children are, or that your friends are, or that their parents are. Right. I think that is important. So to me, it's not about don't talk about this with other people. It's just understanding as best you can that other people may not be having these conversations, and that's okay too, that every family is different.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying about the privacy piece is, if I share an experience with you, let's say you've got an older teenager that has a question and you share some experience about, it doesn't have to be so performative, or, there's, when you love somebody, it's a connection and it's not just performance and those sorts of things. And you share that. I think the privacy piece is that I'm talking about is not talking with other people about that concept, but, if you shared an example for example, that is private.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just because I don't think children really always comprehend boundaries.
Sure. Yeah, trying to talk about it in a way that, like you said, isn't so explicitly detailed.
Right.
So you're giving an example, that helps them understand. It's interesting because the listener that asked the question said, that their parent handed them a book. And I don't think a book's a problem as long as the parent's going through the book with the child. Right. Because the book could help provide a structure. So I don't want parents to think they shouldn't use a book, just not giving them the book and not having conversation.
Or tossing it at them and saying, figure it out.
Right, yeah.
I mean, somehow I have a memory of something like that. It's not something my dad did. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We had biology class, and then there was health class where they sort of talked about it. In an ancient dinosaurial type of way.
Yes.
It's so much better, to have, to be able to engage around that with your own child versus having some stranger toss some broad statements their way, and that's the best that they get.
Well, and
talk about feeling abandoned or scared or confused.
If we have the door open, because those things are going to happen, our kids are always going to be exposed to other people that throw statements out there that are broad. But if we can keep the door open and encourage curiosity, our child is much more likely to come have a conversation with us about it. So,
Yeah.
So what do we think the listener is really asking for? Showing me the truth or sharing uncomfortable topics isn't something to fear. Yeah.
If you want to have a good relationship with your child, and this is from plenty of mistakes of my own, I think it's really important that they feel you do your best, that they can feel comfortable, even if it's uncomfortable, coming to talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
Because if there is fear, it just won't happen. And you will lose some connection in that process, even though despite your desires otherwise.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Helping me understand that my body and money and the world that I live in doesn't have to be shameful.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That all of this uncomfortableness, that we can still maintain, honesty and connection in these conversations. I'm not saying it's not hard. It can be really hard, but really the effort, I think, matters too. Yeah.
And we all feel that when, vulnerability, I believe strongly in, because it creates a deep connection, even if it's messy.
Yeah.
And imperfect and all that. And it will be, especially around this stuff.
Agreed. So the mission to be curious, to speak openly, and to trust that the transparency leads to connection, not punishment. So how to have some of these conversations. I know we're running out of time.
We
so
are.
We'll give you some ideas really quick. So you could start small. You could say something like, we didn't talk about this when I was a kid, but I'd like to change that. That would be an example. Yeah, naming that it's awkward. This might feel strange or funny or uncomfortable, but it's okay. It's okay.
Sure, put your arm around them. Let's talk.
Yeah.
This is weird.
It's okay.
Awkward,
It's
but
okay.
let's talk,
Let's
sweetie.
do it. Right.
Ready.
Yeah. You could use curiosity as well. What do you already know about this? What have
You
you
might
heard
get
from
some
your friends?
crazy answers,
and
but
that's okay.
not to be reactive. I mean, if you're going to go there, getting reactive or angry or anything like that is, you really need to be intentional to, if that comes up, to see it coming up and allow.
Right.
Because if you close that down, what do you do?
Right. Well, I was just thinking about, not only the impact on your child, that the conversation they were having with the friend or what they had heard about it was bad, because that's not a helpful message either. If your child then goes back to the person that they overheard the conversation with, or the child said that, and then the child's like, well, you're wrong because my parents told me whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's just, again, that the openness and the curiosity, and that explaining that, everybody has different thoughts and beliefs about things, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's normal to feel embarrassed or uncertain around topics that make us and other people uncomfortable.
And also for your child to feel that way too. And I think acknowledging that with them is helpful to avoid shame.
Yeah.
Or lessen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Sometimes parents will not want their children to overhear any serious conversation, and I don't necessarily think that's helpful. I think if it's a topic that, I don't know, that we feel that we're able to have, and even if we feel dysregulated, can show our kids that we can work on regulating ourselves around a difficult topic, that's helpful too. Absolutely helpful. So why does this matter, having these conversations? I know we don't want it to, but silence breeds shame, and shame breeds distance.
Yes.
And so we have so many people struggling to have relationship with their family, and so much of it at its core is shame. And so we may be around each other out of a sense of responsibility or obligation, but not safety and connection. So
yeah, and our own avoidance creates confusion and teaches avoidance.
yeah.
And shame hides in silence and inability to communicate safely.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it matters a lot to be able to do our best to open the conversation. Right?
Yeah. We live in a society that appears to be very open because of how much we share, yet there is a significant amount of shame.
Right.
As we talked about over the weekend on our Oregon retreat for hours with everybody in an impromptu conversation around perfectionism and shame. Families that talk honestly help create the possibility of emotionally resilient children who can learn to trust their intuition, which is the foundation of all the work that we're doing with My Inner Knowing. So,
yeah, and a contributor to masking that intuition, that natural sense of self, of direction, of guidance. So,
yeah. And then breaking secrecy patterns that may be in our family can restore our own body sovereignty, trust in relationships, and intergenerational healing. Yeah. I truly believe when we replace silence with conversation, even if they are awkward and uncomfortable, that secrets lose their power, and that these honest conversations really help us form authentic connection.
sure. Truth forms connection.
Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful. A lot of conversation. And we will see you shortly for topic 8, how to argue well.
Thank you.